To today's podcast. Today we're talking about how to face your weight because this is one of the hardest things there is that's probably preventing you from really starting to lose the weight is that a lot of times people don't have a good strategy for facing the situation they're in because every time you go and face it by stepping on the scale, looking at pictures of yourself, whatever capacity, it overwhelms you with negative feelings. And so the best way that you know to avoid those overwhelming feelings is to just ignore it. Okay. And so this is a problem because it's keeping the problem going on, right? If we can't see the problem for what it is, we can't tap into the motivation to make it, to fix it. Okay. So, how do you look at the weight and the situation you're in now in the best way possible? That's what we want to talk about because you can absolutely do it. But usually people are just very, very just kind of reactive and responsive, which gets to another problem of your sympathetic fight or flight nervous system is usually activated anytime you think of your weight loss. And that tends to cause you to use, you know, ineffective strategies to fix it. So what we want to do first is you want to calm down and relax. You want to put yourself into a peaceful, calm state. And it's from this place that you want to start to look at the situation you may be in. Okay. Now, the second thing is also the mindset that you have going into this. So if you think like a dieter, you know, usually the strategies you have available to you are all quick fixes, right? So it's usually some form of some pretty intense diet you're going to do to lose the weight. And what this causes is it makes it difficult to look at the weight that you're in because part of what makes it feel so overwhelming is the time frame you're giving yourself. Okay, because you're seeing the weight that you have, the extra weight you have, you're getting upset about it, and then you're thinking the only way to fix this is to do something extreme. You know, because most diets are pretty extreme. Any diet where you're cutting 40, 50, 60% of your calories on day one is an extreme solution, you know, and it's overwhelming. So in addition to being calm and relaxed in order to see the situation you're in, the next step is also to realize that this weight didn't come on overnight or quickly, and it doesn't have to be taken off quickly. You can begin to make lifestyle long-term changes in how you're living, how you're eating, and ultimately how you're thinking that are going to allow you to get back to your goal weight and stay there. So that kind of gives us more time because when we shrink the time and feel like I just got to lose the weight, I got to lose the weight, that all goes together. That active, that very like emotional response, that feeling that we have to get rid of it right away. These things kind of feed on each other and it creates a very stressful experience. Okay. Doesn't have to be that way. We can calm down. We can look at the situation we're in and understand that your solution can be one that's comfortable and that can start right now, not by being 100% perfect immediately, but by starting to do something better. Right. And so I might be eating a healthier breakfast. It might be saying skipping the cookies in the afternoon, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a complete, fix of the problem tomorrow. Okay. It can be a step-by-step solution that you create over time. And so that helps us look at the situation that we're in. Okay. And the third thing is, what do you want to say to yourself? Okay. Because a lot of times what's happening is things are running on autopilot. You're not actively going in to look at the weight, right? It usually forces itself upon you. You see a picture of yourself, you finally step on a scale, someone says something, clothes don't fit, some negative experience triggers this whole response. And then you get worked up, you think of some intense thing and you start saying things in your head like, I just got to lose this weight. Jesus Christ, how did I get this bad? Oh, this is horrible. I got to lose it. And we say something that just amps up the whole process even more. And so again, we have to manage this because this is the first part, because you don't have a better strategy for looking at the weight where it is right now and moving yourself forward in a way that feels like you're moving in the right direction. You just kind of overreact. You overcorrect, you over respond. And that's probably the same thing you always do. It's either this over response, over correction, or you got to ignore it and not think about it at all. Well, those are two shitty strategies. Okay. So the third one is, again, this more calm, relaxed approach to it. And again, if you do it now, it's the best because you're setting the stage yourself. You're not just going to put yourself in some emotional state based on those things I just mentioned. You're going to center yourself and say, I'm going to make a change here. I'm going to change my weight once and for all. And it starts today by facing the situation I'm actually in and coming up with a real commitment starting today that doesn't have to be overwhelming to me. I'll take it step by step. Again, this is that strategy. And so what do we say to ourselves? Okay, got off track. I'm going to start doing better. One small step at a time. You hear all the languaging I'm saying. Again, you got to customize it to yourself to what feels right. But I'd strongly suggest the word you're saying to yourself in the situation when you're upset about the weight you're at is that you start being encouraging and supportive of yourself instead of what? The beating yourself up internal dialogue, right? That just is not helpful. It's what makes you so upset, and it's what makes you not even able to kind of like interface with the extra weight. Because every time you do, again, this negative voice starts and gets you really, anxious and worked up and beats you up. And it's unpleasant and miserable. So we want to change that process. And you can change that process. You can change the way you're talking to yourself. And you can approach this in a more calm, rational, relaxed way. Because I know you want to move in a different direction. Okay. So kind of wrapping up, right? The first step to any weight mastery, the first step to losing any weight, really, is to acknowledge the situation you're in. And to acknowledge it, you have to go face to face with it. And again, if you go face to face with it, intentionally relaxing yourself, knowing that you don't have to solve this immediately, you can start to put yourself on a path of weight mastery, step by step, developing skill, accumulating strategies that let you live at your goal weight. And by being more supportive in your own head, stop with the beating yourself up. All right. That's not going to fix the problem. What's going to fix it is for you to be more encouraging and supportive of yourself along this path, realizing that this is a forever path, right? It just keeps on going. It's not a sprint like the diets. You want to master your weight once and for all. And so this is a forever marathon, but a fun and enjoyable one. So make sure that you get that in your head and start approaching it that way. All right. And when you do that, all of a sudden you start to take control of this process. You drive the bus. And this starting point is completely different than what you've probably done in the past. And it's going to bring you to a completely different destination. All right. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. All right. Hi, Jim. How can we combat the hunger that comes from shifting from uneating healthy to healthy? Yeah, that's a great question. The best way to do that is to understand what makes you hungry. I think a lot of people have the misunderstanding that you have to eat a lot of calories in order to feel satisfied. And then that's not true, because processed food has lots of calories in it, and we can eat all those calories and not feel satisfied. So, technically, at the end of the day, a calorie is a calorie, but that doesn't describe the package that it's delivered in, right? So what I'm saying is if you eat, 500 calories out of a boxed, packaged, processed food, as opposed to 500 calories of vegetables and fruits, those are completely different calories, and they're going to completely give you a different experience of hunger. So what you want to understand is calorie density, right? Calorie density is how much calories are in a specific volume of food, right? So a cookie's this big has 100 calories in it. A salad this big has 100 calories in it. And so part of what makes you feel satisfied when you eat is the volume of the food, right? Because your stomach has stretch receptors in it. And so you can look up volumetrics, right, as a diet based on this philosophy. And I think it's an important one for you to understand. No matter what diet you follow, again, you'll understand some of the context of why it's working. And so part of it is that volumetrics is when we want to eat foods that have more volume and lower calorie density. Well, spoiler alert, that's fruits, vegetables, greens, beans, natural foods fall in that category. The more processed you get, the more likely there's going to be a more calorie dense food. All right. So yeah, that combating the hunger. Now I wouldn't say I'm gonna get my hypnotist hat on here, because I don't like the word combat, because it implies that we're going to war with our hunger. But in reality, our body is just trying to help us out. It just want to make sure that you got enough food. There's a good chance if you're eating a highly processed diet that you're not getting the micronutrients you need, and your body's sending you a hunger signal because it wants you to eat the micronutrients, right? It thinks you're in the natural world where when you eat, you're going to eat micronutrients. It doesn't realize, right, we can eat and eat and eat and not fulfill those micronutrient needs. So a big part of that is of dealing with the hunger, resolving it, because that is a big part. So it's a great question, because I think sometimes people have the idea they're going to fight against their hunger, or they're going to be, the hungrier they are, the better for their weight loss. And that's a very short-term approach. So what we want to do is you want to manage your hunger. You want to learn how to eat. Pretty much when I get up in the day, within an hour, I got a good amount of, we use the hunger scale in my program. So within an hour, my hunger scale is pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied, and I'm basically managing that all day long. So I'm not hungry all day long. And that's a strategy, right? You want to figure out how to eat so you're not hungry. That's the most important thing. So yeah, as you shift from healthier eating, you will find a lot of times that you're actually going to be more satisfied. Okay. Because natural, healthier foods are way more satisfying to you, hunger wise, right? You start eating more salads, more natural food, you're going to not feel that hunger that you get from the processed foods. Processed foods are literally designed so that you're hungrier, with a lot of different techniques. Okay, but so one of the things, but let me speak, was one last thing finally with that, is the shift from healthy food or from an unhealthy food diet to a healthier food diet. There is just a little bit of like, it's just weird, right? So there's a little bit like craving for the old stuff that you're used to having, and the sugar and the calories and all that stuff and the flavors. So sometimes shifting over to a healthier diet, there's a little bit of that, but it's not just like you're hungry. So you shouldn't have to be hungrier to lose weight. Okay. You can reduce your calories and feel more satisfied. I hope that makes sense. Just started exercising 20 minutes today. After 1 year, I'm 47 pounds down. Wow, congratulations. Wow. That's great. 20 minutes today. That's so nice. What I love hearing about you saying that is that anything that's like a longer term approach. So congratulations. You're a year, actively losing and managing your weight. That's awesome. And now again, because, I just said this in the training part of this, is that we tend to like with the weight loss in America, we so overcorrect, because we get so upset, we get so emotional, and then we get the overcorrection diets and workouts that were constantly surrounding us. And so it's so difficult when we want to lose weight not to like go too hard. And so the fact that you spend an hour or a year lowering your weight and now you're exercising for 20 minutes, that's the mindset I really like to encourage, because it's a smart strategic mindset. You know what I mean? Where you're moving forward strategically, not just impulsively, right? So great job losing the weight, and great job sticking with it. Can't fit into the seat for our concert. Yeah, that sucks. Now again, it's like I just did a video about this, like if you're upset about pictures of yourself, right? Because that's one of the most triggering things for people, is to see a picture of themselves and they realize, oh my God, I'm bigger than I thought I was. What I'm trying to say to you is that, and I know it's not easy, if you've never done really like much mindset work, I understand that facing your weight, stepping on the scale, looking at pictures of yourself, I understand that's hard. I understand that. However, it's something, it's hard work. It's easier than going to the gym. And I think it'd be more effective for your weight loss, because when you intentionally take control of your motivation, when you're honest with yourself, when you really, face this with all of your strengths and abilities going in that direction, I think you're unstoppable, but you can't do that if you're scared. You know what I mean? So you can't let that fear win. You can't let that discouragement win. Like I said, you're discouraged. You feeling discouraged about your weight there's a bunch of factors to it. It's not that you can't do anything. Okay. It's that you most likely can't do these shitty extreme diets for long, but anyways, don't let that fear win. Don't be scared to look at your weight because you feel like you can't do anything about it. Cause I promise you can. It comes down to motivation, and so if you follow what I was saying, relax, calm down, realize you don't have to fix it all at once, and realize that if you're more supportive, encouraging yourself, you can make small incremental changes that make profound shifts in your weight and your body. All right. Let's see what else. How much fruit should we have in a day? Thanks. They estimate 5 pieces of fruit a day, and that's what I aim for. 5 might be a challenge for you, so pay attention to that. But yeah, 5 fruits a day, I think, is a solid, number to aim for. And remember, a lot of fruits aren't things you necessarily think of as fruits. Like tomatoes spring to mind. And I don't know why I don't have a better list of this on the top of my head, but there's a lot of different, fruits out there that you can get in your body. But yeah, fruits and vegetables, that's the real, it's just a miracle. You talk about a miracle pill for weight loss, fruits and vegetables and natural foods, right? That's the real secret there. All right. I'm not getting the email with the download from your bio. Is there another place I can find it? I'm not getting the email download. Oh, you're not. All right. You know what to do? Just email me. In my bio, there's an email link. If I had to guess what happens, sometimes my email system is a little finicky with some emails. And so maybe yours just got a little screwy. But if you email, my email's on my bio, you can email me, or jim@programyourselfthin.com. Email me and let me know what email you use, and I'll take care of that for you. Jim, what's the best way to avoid mindless eating? I find myself eating in the evening after dinner. Oh, yeah. I'm not even hungry, but I feel compelled. Yeah, yeah, great. So great job becoming aware of that. Okay. Um, in my program, that's really the whole point. You want to create this eating blueprint for yourself, so that you become mindful. And the process of becoming mindful is recognizing when you're mindless. Okay. So I want you to celebrate when you are become aware that you were mindless, right? That's the first step. So again, we want to celebrate our mistakes because they're our greatest teachers. All right. So that's a great one. So that being said, to call it to say it's just mindless eating kind of minimizes what's going on here. It's a bit of a challenge to change the after dinner eating, for most people. So what I would say is that you approach it with a consistent mindset to change it, and you try different things. That being said, some solutions for you. One of them I did when I first started doing it is I would eat a little more at dinner. That made it easier not to eat at night. I would become very intentional and aware of what foods I'm going for, what times I'm doing it, what the whole pattern and situation is. Okay. Because your subconscious mind is there's a part of your subconscious mind called procedural memory. And so it basically just runs things. It's very like, what this happens and this happens and this happens, this happens. So start to break down and kind of stalk a bit your habit, your after dinner habit. Notice what you're eating, what you're going for, what you're watching, what mood you're in, what time it's happening, who's there, who's not there. So again, this is the first step, right? Gaining the awareness of it, and then start working on ways that you can change that. Yes, after dinner eating is usually the big one for people, for sure. Any wise words on self-sabotage? Oh yeah. Here's the thing with self-sabotage. I think a lot of self-sabotage starts off right from the beginning because you don't. So my whole approach to weight mastery is mindset based, right? And so you probably have very little awareness of mindset, right? And what's going on with your weight loss. But typically what people do when they want to lose weight. So most of your weight is controlled subconsciously, okay? Your habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all subconscious. And so they just run on autopilot. And then you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. The conscious part of your mind is a part of your mind that wants you to lose weight, knows why you should lose weight, knows what you should do, tries to get you to do it. That's where your willpower is. And pretty much all your other eating habits and routines and behaviors are run subconsciously. And so for most people, what weight loss is it's them consciously trying to control or fight against their subconscious mind. And it doesn't work very well, as you've seen. Your subconscious mind is extremely powerful. It just does what it does, just on autopilot. Right? You have to remember to eat the ice cream at night, right? Chuck here just said, you don't have to remember to snack at night, right? It just happens, right? On autopilot. Okay. And so when all of a sudden you want to go on diet, usually what you're doing is you're trying to consciously fight against all those subconscious programs, and it doesn't work. But deeper than that is it creates that exact feeling you're talking about, that self-sabotage, where it feels like, it's like you want to lose weight. You think about it all the time. You really want to do it, but there's some part of you that compels you to do the wrong stuff. Well, that's your subconscious mind. Now, it's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to help you. It's just, again, your subconscious mind's not logical. It just links things together. So for most, like Chuck, for example, at nighttime eating, you're probably like, that's your time to relax. That's your reward for a hardworking day, whatever. We associate all sorts of stuff to it, but there's something positive there out of that behavior. And now you come along constantly trying to stop it. And so a lot of times what people describe as self-sabotage really is just that you've got subconscious programmings that you haven't changed. So again, program yourself in the approach instead of just trying to restrict it, because that's every diet you've ever done. This is why I can't think of a single diet that's you're going to win with. If you've tried to diet and it hasn't worked, you're pretty much never going to succeed with a diet. So you should get off that train because the diets, they ain't going to work for you. So what's the difference? Because every single diet, keto, intermittent fasting, vegan, Mediterranean, literally any diet, what it is, it's you consciously trying to control your eating. It's you trying to consciously micromanage all your eating, and all your eating is a lot of food decisions. I can't remember the number of food decisions you make a day. I swear it's like 200 something food decisions a day or something. But anyways, it's like if you had to remember to breathe, right? We'd all be dead. So when you're going to try and, consciously control all your eating, forget about it. So again, in my program, instead of trying to fight against our subconscious mind, we're looking to reprogram our subconscious mind so that it starts to run programs that keep us at our goal weight, you see? And so the wise words on self-sabotage are stop trying to diet and control yourself consciously. Ain't going to work. It's not going to work. So, You know, it's like, it's funny, just to give you an example of what this is like. It's like if you knew how to consciously do something, which you do, right? You know how to write, right? So it's like write with the other hand then. You know, notice how clumsy your conscious mind is when it tries to do stuff. Everything you know how to do, like on autopilot, is a subconscious program. So you can tell me you know how to write. Your body knows how to write. Your subconscious mind knows how to write. Because if you knew how to write, you'd be able to write with the other hand. But you can't. It's all like a little kid, right? And that's conscious knowledge versus subconscious knowledge, right? Just because you know how to do something consciously doesn't mean you can do it, right? The things you're able to do are subconscious programs that run automatically. So I hope that you get some sense of that. And by the way, if you've never gone to my, if you've gone in my world, is go to my bio, click that link, go get that hypnosis session. I'll give you a free hypnosis session. And then as soon as you get it, it takes a little bit to send it to you, a couple minutes. There's a training there, 3 steps to master your weight. You should watch that. Okay. It'll give you that would be a much wiser words on self-sabotage. You'll have a much better understanding of what I'm talking about here. Hope says, I hate pictures. I always hide my midsection. LOL. I get it. That's the work. You know what I mean? Like, that's some of the most fruitful work, you know. It's when you can separate, you know, and I know this sounds crazy. To you, but when you can start to feel confident now, when you can start to feel more attractive now, more, right? Because whatever, you can feel more attractive right now without losing a single pound. Guarantee you. Okay. And then as you start to lose weight, you can feel more attractive. Sure. But you can feel more attractive and confident now, you know? Whatever, you want to hide stuff, you know what I mean? Like, here I am, like my goal weight. I'm still, my legs are skinny, you know? But at some point you say, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if my legs are skinny? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, that's where you want to start to get to, because you're basing so much of your weight loss on, basing so much of your weight loss on looking better because you think that's going to fix everything. And I'm here to tell you it's not. This is why most people lose weight and put it back on, because they think it's going to be this cure-all. And it's like they lose the weight and it's hard and it's difficult and they're not eating their favorite foods and they still feel like shit. So it's like, you might as well start feeling better now and then use all those emotions to help you succeed. It's a better strategy, right? But I get what you're saying. I get it. But I don't hate pictures of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do some hypnosis on this, because don't hate pictures of yourself. You know, you're a beautiful person. Who cares? It's a couple extra pounds on you, 100 extra pounds, 500 extra pounds. Who gives a shit? You're still a beautiful human being. Okay. You've got to separate your self-worth and the love you feel for yourself from your weight. I know it sounds like ironic because you're always using that as leverage. I won't feel good about myself until I lose the weight. You know, you're always holding it out to feel good about yourself until you start losing the weight. But I'm telling you, it's a shitty strategy. It's a horrible strategy. Has it worked? Do you know what I mean? Can you try something else now? Lena says, I get up in the morning and weigh, and then I will eat cereal and gain a pound. Well, yeah, I wouldn't eat cereal anyways, unless it's a healthy cereal. But most cereals are not very good. I would not eat cereal in the morning unless it's on the weekend, my pleasure time. But that might be part of the problem right there. Victoria, I feel like I binge to punish myself for not being good enough to lose weight. How to overcome this? Yeah, for sure that happens. That's exactly what I was just talking about, though. That's that conscious subconscious dynamic where you have your conscious mind trying to control everything. And it's to bring it a step deeper, it's kind of like a dieter. They always have this voice in their head. And Deborah, I see your question up there. I'm going to answer that in a second. A lot of times people have this voice in their head. We call it the critical parent. You know, it's not that you could have great parents, but they all had that critical voice, right? The parents, if they're good parents, they're busting your chops sometimes. So we have this critical parent voice that just beats us up. And we start to create this weird dynamic within ourselves where we have this voice that's always punishing us, you know, as soon as we make a mistake. And for a lot of people, this becomes a runaway voice that really just takes on a life of its own and really screws us hard. Especially if you think of yourself as kind of a perfectionist, right? You demand perfection. And so you make any weight loss mistakes with your eating or exercising or any of that stuff. And then it's all the punishment mode, you know? So you got to be careful of that. Again, you need to develop another voice, which is an encouraging, supportive, adult voice, like another voice in your head that's supportive and encouraging. One simple way I do this with clients sometimes, but it's like, I a guy, I said, who's your dad role model growing up? You know, he's like, oh, Jimmy Stewart, you know? So we said, okay, imagine Jimmy Stewart's in your head, encouraging along this process. So I'd say it to you, Victoria. I don't know if it might not be Jimmy Stewart, but for you, who's like an encouraging person in your life? Doesn't even have to be someone you know. It could just be a character from a show or a movie or whatever, from a book. It doesn't matter. But just some sense of what an encouraging, supportive voice in your head would sound like, you know? And then when you were not being good enough, what would that voice say? When you made a mistake, when you binged, when you overate, what would that voice say? Now I'll give you a hand because for a lot of people in my program, I become that voice and very intentionally because most people have never had a positive voice when it comes to weight loss in their head. All they got is that voice trying to whip them into doing the right thing, which creates all kinds of other problems, as you've experienced, everyone, right? So the alternative voice is when you binge. I mean, I swear, this is like most of the programs kind of built around. So in the Program Yourself Thin program, there's the Program Yourself Thin techniques, the first thing you learn, right? So it's a real simple self-hypnotic programming technique you use at night. And it's really two techniques. It's a redo technique and a rehearsal technique. So the redo technique specifically for this, because it's so important, because you got to learn how to learn from your mistakes. See, again, the dieting mindset is so stupid because it's like, oh, you're going to start tomorrow being perfect. And then you'll be perfect for a couple of days. Then you won't be, and then you won't do anything. And that's what you do, all or nothing, right? So the alternative is to be all or something. And when you make mistakes and realize you're going to make lots of mistakes because you're learning to do something, you don't know how to be thin. You don't know how to think like a thin person. Could get to that, Deborah. You have to learn how to be a thin person. So it's a process of learning. And so if you're going to freak out every time you make a mistake or beat the shit out of yourself every time you make a mistake, you never get to learn. You never get to grow. It's like if you're going to learn to play the piano and you go and you play, you're learning a new song and you play a wrong note. Oh my God. What's wrong with you? Why you know what I mean? You're just going to ground yourself into a pulp. Nothing's changing, So again, in a warm, encouraging voice right after you binge. Hey, what happened there? I don't like eating this way. I don't feel good. I don't like this. So what was going on there? What's something else I could have done? This is part of the redo technique, Knowing what I know now, what could I have done differently? What triggered that? What was going on? Oh, I was upset and I got emotional and I went to the cookies and they're right there. And okay, next time, I could do this. And so it's a process of like educating yourself and learning, but deeper than that. And this is the most important part, I think, because again, notice all these questions all got the same problem, is that it's this self-sabotage. It's this negative voice. It's my beating myself up. It's my self-punishment, right? I'm trying to tell you, this is all your mindset. You know what I mean? Like if you're not trying to change your mindset, if you're not working on your mindset, if you want to lose weight and you're not working on your mindset, you're just wasting your time. I mean, I can't make it any clearer than that, And this is why no diets work, because none of them are showing you how to deal with your mindset. I had to create this all on my own. I've been doing this for 20 years professionally, 30 years personally. I've done over 5,000 private weight loss sessions. I had to come up with this all on my own, just to be dead honest. I read 50 books a year. I mean, I'm just obsessed with it, but I had to come up with it on my own. Who am I going to learn from? Who am I going to learn from? Because what do? I get people, because what's every diet and workout? Every diet and workout, I say, oh, here's the plan. See you later. Go do it. Just follow it. Well, I help people. How do you follow it? What do you do when you feel discouraged? What do you do when you were following the diet for 3 days and then you made a mistake? What do you do now? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm helping people constantly get remotivated, get their mindset right, help get back on track, learn from the mistake. You know what I mean? So it's like, no one's doing this. So that's what my entire program is, But so you've got to learn from your mistakes. You've got to understand you're going to make mistakes. The mistakes are the signposts along the path that lead you in the right direction. But you're scared to death of making one, So Deborah says, I'm confused about you saying for us to think and eat like a thin person. This concept escapes me because every thin person I know can eat whatever and whatever they want. Bullshit. That's not true. That's the first thing you should realize. That is not true. I hear this all the time because I'm a thin person. And if you saw me at a restaurant, I'd be like, holy shit, he eats whatever he wants. Yeah, because you're seeing me eat one meal a week, one meal a month. You're not, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, your weight is a reflection of how many calories you're consuming. So how do you think like a thin person? Well, yeah, we can study thin people for sure, obviously. But the first question is, how do you think when you're acting like a thin person? That's the real question. Okay. When you're really focused and motivated to be healthy, to be lean, to eat well, to live healthy, how are you thinking? What are you saying to yourself? How are you reflecting on the goal? How are you thinking about tempting foods? How are you thinking about healthy foods? That's what I want to know. Because I know you got some good stuff in there, right? You've had some times where you were on the right path, doing things right. What were you saying to yourself? What was motivating to you? How'd you think about it? So we always want to start by analyzing your past when you were doing well, when you get on a roll. How do you think about stuff? How do you frame it? That's first step. And then obviously there's lots of questions and way. So I mean, here's a question you can ask. How can I master my weight? How can I lose weight in the most easy and enjoyable way possible? That's a question you don't ask. How can I start eating healthier food in a way that I enjoy? You don't ask that question. You start asking that question because listen, 95% of your thinking is in response to questions you're asking. You're asking shitty questions. You don't even realize it. I know that. But again, this is when I say to think and eat like a thin person, I say start with yourself. And then watch all my videos. I literally every video I make is talking about how to think that way and how to eat that way. Because they're hand in hand, right? So again, this is why the mindset work's so important. You should eat more fruits and vegetables. You should eat more natural foods. I'm not the first time you've heard that, right? That's not the problem is that you don't know what to do. The problem is you can't get yourself to do it because you don't know how to think like a thin person. So what does a thin person think like? Well, there's how I think, but I'm just one thin person, So again, I can give you suggestions on that, but ultimately you have to tweak them so they work for you. You know what I mean? So they fit you. And that's a key part of my program. In my program, we got 3 blueprints: mindset, lifestyle, eating blueprints. And they're like kind of fill in the blank because you got to fill them in with what works for you. This idea, and again, I don't blame you for this, but this is the dieting thing this led you to be lazy almost because it's like you just want someone to give you an eating plan. You're not going to follow it anyways, but you just want someone to give you the eating plan because you think you're going to follow that, but you got to put the work in and come up with your own eating plan. I'm going to tell you what to eat. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the craziest thing that I'm just going to tell you how you should eat and you're going to eat that way. Don't you have a brain or preferences or aren't you a human being who wants to do what you want to do? Relatively, obviously you got to moderate and change how you're eating. You can't just eat the same way. But I'm Greek. I like to eat Mediterranean food. Oh my God, follow some diet where I don't eat that. It's weird. So if you took the time and you say, okay, I'm going to craft a mindset, a lifestyle, and an eating plan that works for me, that's based on me, my likes, my dislikes, my lifestyle, that's going to allow me to be as healthy and as thin as I want to be. That's where it all starts from. Again, you are the one that's filling in the blanks. Can I sit here and I can tell you how I think like a thin person, and I do that in the program for sure. But, it's got to be customized, you know what I mean? To what you want to do because we have different brains. We're different people, so I hope that helps. CNS. I really have a hard time changing that. I'm not sure what. Do you have some advices? I have lots of advices, but ask a more specific question. I'm not sure what your reference. I'm going to move through the questions quicker. Should you count macros, calories? I don't think so. I don't think it's a bad thing to do to calibrate where you're at, but a lot of times people, they oh, I see. Okay. And I just want to respond. Deborah wrote, yeah, got it. I've been following you for a bit now. If I now journal and see exactly what you're saying. Yeah, great. Yeah. It's a consistent that you're right on the money with the journaling, because it's consistently. So in my program, we use the read rehearsal technique, and some other things to basically take our subconscious mind and kind of make it our subconscious mind, subconscious, we're unaware of a lot of it. So there's got to be some process. What you don't realize is you're so unaware. You won't believe me, but I promise you the number one problem you have is that you're very unaware of a lot of what you're doing and how you're thinking and how you're feeling. And so journaling is one great strategy for doing that, for really kind of get out of there. And Deborah, I'll tell you what, Deborah, if you email me at jim@programyourselfthin.com, I actually have a program. It was a weight loss mindset writing challenge, a 7-day challenge. And it's a great program. I'll give it to you though. If you like to journal, I'll just shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to it. Cause if you're journaling you'll get a lot out of this program if you're journaling a lot. But yeah, should you count macros and calories? I'm not a fan of that because I don't like micromanaging the eating, so I don't like that. But if you again, my golden rule is there's no right or wrong. There's only what works for you. So if you love tracking and counting that stuff and it brings you kind of a peace of mind, a way to kind of ground yourself, then you do it. I just had a woman start the program. She's been tracking for 3 years and her weight's not going anywhere, and I said, well, maybe it's time to let go of the tracking, because ideally, right. I hate tracking, but that's my bias. I don't like to track. So I built my weight mastery around not tracking. Do you understand? But I'm also super lazy. So I built around not working out. I built it around pretty much the easiest meal plan you could ever see in your life, because that's built for me. It's custom made for me. And so I'm fine living with it, so yeah, should you count macros and calories? I think it has a place as a calibration. So if you track for, depending, I don't know where you're at, but a week or two, just to kind of ballpark, because a lot of times people think, oh, this is one serving when really it's like 2 or 3. And so I think it's good to kind of clarify the lenses of your perception so you can see more accurately what you're consuming, and get a sense of where your macros are at. And I'd suggest if you're going to track micros too, track your micronutrients. That might be a more valuable one if you're going to track, right? How do I clear my nostril? Well, your nostrils, they go through a cycle. More people don't know this, but you have a dominant nostril and a subdominant nostril, and they switch dominance every 90 minutes or so. You know that? So you breathe more through one nose, then the other nostril kind of blondes up. But maybe blow your nose. What the hell? I'll answer any question, right? What I need to do is hide my chocolate. Yeah, sure. I'll tell you an alternative though. Hiding the chocolate's fine. I'm kind of joking when I say this because what I always like to say is I want to give you more. I want to give you kind of like more options so you can choose the best option. And so if you gotta hide the chocolate, if that works for you, go ahead. But what's even more beneficial sometimes is when you keep the chocolate not hidden and you have the internal kind of ability to just feel indifferent to it or just ignore it. Because then you feel a deeper sense of personal power. But hiding it's fine too if that works for you. Put a new man on a high protein diet. Get him some sunshine and on TRT, and he'll turn into a boss. All right. And work out. All right. That sounds like the perfect combo. High protein diet, TRT, and working out. Oh, yeah, and sunshine. All right. I like that. Do you recommend counting calories, macros? Yep, I just answered that one. Talk about protein needs, please. Thanks. Yeah, I think your protein needs are probably way overestimated. This is coming from a vegetarian. I mean, pescatarian officially. I ate fish a little bit, but yeah, right. People thinking about going vegetarian. So, oh shit, what am I going to do about my protein? My protein. Oh, what if I'm protein deficient? Do you ever think maybe you care so much about protein because meat is such a giant industry and they put that idea in your mind? Do you ever wonder why protein's like the number one thing you're so concerned about? And then on top of that, have you ever met anyone who's had a protein deficiency in your life? Have you ever even taken a protein deficiency test in your life? Have you ever heard anyone taking a protein deficiency test? Is this really a problem in our world? I'm joking. I mean, though, have you had any of those things? But anyways, I don't think that, I just think protein's just one of those things that's over, there's a lot of money being made at you over consuming protein, and I don't think you need as much as you think you do. And I get plenty of protein as a vegetarian, but that's what I think. But I'm not a dietitian or nutritionist, so I can't really speak to how much protein you would need. How to act as if I'm at my goal weight. It's hard for me to imagine because I don't know how to be thin. Yeah, great one. So, it's a process. I want to be clear about that. Sometimes I'll do certain hypnosis sessions where you're imagining yourself tomorrow at your goal weight. But what we're doing is, it's hypnosis. And you can't wake up tomorrow at your goal weight. You know that. But what we're doing is we're allowing you to step into, because you know how tomorrow's going to go. And so to imagine yourself at your goal weight tomorrow is a nice way to tap into the goal. So you can experience and feel it and learn from yourself. Okay. Because you don't know how to be a thin person. So the more you put yourself into that mindset, it's kind of like remember years ago, they had the "What would Jesus do?" bumper stickers and stuff. Well, what was that? Right. It was a way to elevate your mindset to think like Jesus would. Right. And so you elevate your thoughts and your thinking to a higher level and you see the world from that level and you start to behave from that level. So it's the same thing when the more we connect to our ideal, thin and healthy body that we want to be in, we're consistently training ourselves. But do not be, let me make this crystal clear, because there's so much bullshit around the hypnosis. Like it's this magical thing, listen, with weight loss, it's always magical, and hypnosis already coming into it with the magical stuff. There's no hypnosis just going to turn you into a thin person, right? That's the part that bothers me about hypnosis, because it overstates what it's going to do. Hypnosis is just it's a process. So this is important. Don't think of hypnosis like being in a trance. Think of it as a process of influencing your subconscious mind. And we go into a trance just to it makes it a little easier to do. But you can be hypnotized being wide awake. Okay. I think of hypnosis as the process of influencing your subconscious mind. And so you could be wide awake if, all of a sudden phobias, right? People get phobias. That's hypnosis. All of a sudden they're just hanging out and all of a sudden there's a giant spider. Well, I'll give you, I remember the one, I always remember this, but a woman came to me, she had a phobia of bats. And we regressed her back to the first time she was scared of bats. And she was a little girl. And a bat flew in the house, and her father had been in Vietnam, ended up having a real abreaction to the whole thing, triggered him, and it really scared her. And so from that point forward, she had a fear of bats. Now, she didn't remember the original thing, right? That was kind of interesting, but she was awake when it happened, you see? So really the process of hypnosis is influencing our subconscious mind. And so it's a continuous process. That's why I program yourself. Then you learn the technique, how to influence your subconscious mind, because you use it every day. So I just want to be clear about that. Yes, I have hypnosis sessions that are supporting everything and are definitely helpful. But at the end of the day, you have to do it to yourself. You have to learn when you're being programmed and how to do it to yourself intentionally. All right. But don't, I get, Christina, that it's hard, but it's something you're learning. Okay. So don't make it too hard. Don't try to do too much all at once, but understand it's a forever process of starting to think differently. That's what it is. It's still that way for me. I'm always working on how my thinking is and my how I think, how I feel, and how I behave. Always tweaking those. Okay. So it's a forever process. Maj Mondell. That's a cool name. Is that your name, Maj? Watched a lot of your videos and got some new perspectives. I'm starting my journey today. Awesome. That's great. And started slow. Okay. We always say in the program yourself, then we always say consistency over intensity, which would be the opposite of the diet mindset. But if you start off with a more consistent mindset, you're going to change the whole journey right from the beginning. All right. Hello for Central Florida. Hey, how you doing? I hope you're staying dry. I see some crazy water out there. I eat. Is there a test? LOL. Yeah, I don't even know. I joke about that. I've never even heard of it though. But it's one of the funniest things nutritionally? That's the funniest thing to me right there is people's over dramatic fears. And I'm not picking anyone. We all have this, right? It's been programmed into us. Why though? That's the point I'm trying to make. It's just so funny to me that people are so worried about protein deficiency, right? It's the number one nutrient worry people have, period. Right. And yet it's funny because no one you've ever known is that you've never even talked to your doctor about that. You've never done a test, but so why do we worry so much? I love stuff like that because it's like an irrational fear that's just been installed into us with there's no logical reasoning why. It'd be different if we all got, if every year we go to get our physical and like, okay, your protein's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like it would be different if it was that, but it's just, you've never even had a protein test. We don't know if they exist. Is sunflower seed part of your clean eating? No, I don't really eat sunflower seeds much, but I would, I love seeds. So that's something like I kind of cycle through different, stuff, but I like seeds a lot. And, I've had those on salads before and I'll get back to them again sometime, but yeah, I'm a big fan of those. You say no strict diets work and you're a vegetarian, just wondering about this. Oh, good. Yeah. It's like, okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Because I remember when I went vegetarian, now that was almost 30 years ago. And so when I went vegetarian, I'm not gonna lie, a big part of that was saying, okay, now, but I'm gonna say something strange. I know Vicky's here. Vicky, I said this last week and she was laughing. She never heard this, but just the way it felt to me. I grew up an extreme meat eater. I eat meat every day of my life, multiple times a day. Okay. But as I started getting into yoga and as things started to change for me and some of the years went by, the idea of vegetarianism just kind of just showed up in my reality. And it just felt like me. And I always say like, it felt like my sexuality almost, you know what I mean? It just felt like that's what I am. I don't know if that sounds strange to people, but it didn't feel like, oh, I gotta be a vegetarian. Okay. I can't eat meat. It just didn't feel like that to me. It just felt like I just want to do it. Now I will say when I was making that decision, I remember thinking to myself, oh, that's gonna make it a lot easier for me to master my weight, like a lot easier because pretty much a lot of the calories I was consuming came with meat in them. You know what I mean? A lot of fast food type places, meatball grinders. I mean, it was always meat, had a lot of calories coming with it in my life then. And back then there really weren't any vegetarian options. Do you know what I mean? Like there was no meat substitutes back then. So that was a part, that was a part of it, but it was a small part. I just felt as I started eating less and less meat, I just felt better. It just felt like right to me. So again, I'm not saying, should you go vegetarian? I'm not gonna say that, you know what I mean? You should eat the way you should think you should eat. But for me, I felt a lot better. And it never was about like, I'm going to lose weight and this is going to be my strict diet. That being said, again, I think being vegetarian makes it a lot easier to master your weight, not guaranteed because you can still eat a lot of calories and a lot of shitty stuff being a vegetarian. So I hear what you're saying, but I never thought of it being a vegetarian as like a diet. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't think of it as a diet primarily to lose weight. I wasn't doing it to lose weight. I was doing it because I just felt better. And I said, oh, it's going to help me master my weight easier, but it was a sub part of the decision. So I hope that makes sense. I think strict dieting, specifically what I'm talking about is when you're dieting strictly to lose weight, And so for me, that was not what it was vegetarian. I felt a lot better. it was a little bit of a moral thing, but very little. It really was. I felt better. I knew I would be able to master my weight a lot easier doing it. It was easy for me to do. I enjoyed those foods. I was lazy. It was easier preparation. And so it just felt right to me. So I hope that makes sense. But when you go to like, I'm going to do keto, I'm going to do veganism. I did raw food. So, okay, I'll give you an example. I did raw food for a while, and that was a step too far. That was intense because when I did raw foods, I felt all right physically, but mentally and emotionally, I was a basket case. I was just obsessed with food. And that's what a lot of times happens when you do things for like extrinsic reasons, like to lose weight. I did the raw food things for a bunch of different weird reasons. It didn't fit me right. Um, and so, yeah, strict diets typically aren't going to work. So I hope that explains it. I wish there was a simpler answer I give you. My calorie deficit inevitably is pretty strict as I am short and don't weigh much to start with. Okay. My deficit would be 1,100 calories a day. How do I stay consistent with this? Oh yeah. I mean, okay. 1,100 calories a day deficit from that's where you're starting. So today's Monday, right? So you're starting today with your 1,100 calorie a day deficit. I mean, it's just so much. I mean, what's your typical calorie range? 2,200, 2,300? Let me know. I'd love to hear a little more specific on that. Because what I usually see with people is, I mean, it's just almost like there's never, and it's never not this, but it's always like people overcorrect with their weight loss way too much. They start and it's like day one, they're 50-60% calories down. So I don't know if is that your case. Because if your deficit's gonna be 1,100 calories from where you're normally at, you say you're short, I'm gonna guess that's around a 50% cut. I bet. My BMR is 1,200 calories, and so when I work out, which I plan to, I burn about 1,500 calories a day. So how many calories you consume in a day? So, I'll tell you, to be honest, I don't approach the weight loss through calories. I find that to be, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're like a robot and you're really, really good at tracking, it obviously works. Calorie in, calorie out is probably the most effective way to lose weight. Problem being that most people are really bad at tracking, and that the tracking thing is like, you get into such specifics and such details that you lose the big picture a lot. So what I help people with is much more in structuring their eating and getting it consistent, and finding kind of the most egregious things in the beginning and working on removing, replacing, reducing them, and then, adding more and more healthy stuff in. Hope that makes sense. I know it doesn't, but it's a better way. I don't know why it's so hard. I would say that's one of the hardest parts, because the thing is with your eating, it's so subconscious. So any process that you use to influence your eating, it's a process because you're not even aware of what you're eating. And that's what the tracking the calories is trying to do. You know what I mean? But you're going from nothing to everything. When you start tracking the calories down to the calorie, it's such a intense process. And so it's fine, but usually it's fine for a little while, and then people burn themselves out because it's such a cognitive load. It's like every time you decide you're going to lose weight, I mean, you're really jumping into a state of chaos, and so I just want you to know this. There's no avoiding it. It's just natural because you're changing everything up. And so that point where you're changing, it feels like chaos. And you go through that a bunch of times because losing weight, again, I don't know. It's just, you're so conditioned and hypnotized by the diets to think that you know what to do and you just got to get yourself to do it. And then you're going to start your plan on Monday being perfect, and you're just going to be perfect until you lose the weight. And it's like, it's fucking not going to happen like that. It's not going to happen like that for you. So I don't know what else to say other than that. Like, I'm not saying to be negative, but it's like, Jesus Christ, can you not can you keep looking at what you're doing? Like, what results are you getting? Are you getting the exact same results over and over where you kind of like, it's like one day now where you can kind of eat clean a couple days and you can't keep it up? It's like, I don't know. I always joke this, but like as a hypnotist, I thought I was going to hypnotize people to lose weight. I didn't realize I was going to spend my whole time waking them up, because you're in a trance. You're in a diet trance, not your fault. Millions of diet ads you've seen, millions of them in your lifetime. Me too. All of us. And they all get you conditioned to think short term about your weight loss, and that short-term thinking causes all kinds of problems, because you're so impatient, you just want to lose the weight quick. And so you'll do extreme things. And it's that mindset that you're trapped in now. So you say, no matter what, I can't get started. No matter what I do, I can't lose the weight. It's because you can't, no matter what you do, because you're only going to try diets. I sometimes doubt my fasting comes from starvation. What does that mean? I sometimes doubt my fasting comes from starvation. I don't know what that means, but I will tell you one thing. Fasting, fasting's a double-edged sword. You know what I mean? Because I know that's the new one on the block. You know what I mean? That's the hot diet right now, is intermittent fasting. But it's like, I'm like too tired to go. I'm a little tired today. I was working on taxes all day, but it's here. Let me put it this way, right? So most weight loss, it's like every weight loss plan you have in front of you is like a tactic. It's one tactic. Intermittent fasting is one tactic. Keto is one tactic. Weight Watchers is one tactic. It's all one tactic, and that reduces your weight in what's influencing it down to ridiculously simplistic concepts. No tactic is going to serve you to change your weight. You really need a holistic strategy. This becomes a ground up transformation of who you are from the inside out into a new person. And if that sounds overwhelming to you, tough shit. It's just, that's what it is. There's no way around it. You can't just change your behaviors. Why would all of a sudden next Monday you be able to stick to a diet plan when you haven't been able to do it the last 20 years? Like, what would change? You keep holding out that there's some amazing ideal version who's going to pop on the scene and just take care of everything. It's called the planning fallacy. It's a cognitive bias we're all built with, but you got to recognize it and move on. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. Again, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I mean, how long have you been just waiting for some ideal you to show up and save the day? Yeah, Don says it's a lot of work to ditch diet brain. It is. It really is. I mean, it's a complete 360-degree programming prison you're in, to think like a dieter. It is true. That's why I do these. I do these every day. Not every day, but I do these 5 days a week. I do all these videos, everything, just to help you out. You know what I mean? So you can get off the goddamn diet, get out of the trance, man. You can't lose weight with it. You just can't. It's a prison. It's a mental prison, and you can't see it, which is the worst part. And so the worst part is you think you can't lose weight. You think no matter what, you can't do it. No matter what you do, I can't lose weight. It's not true. You're following horse shit strategies that don't work. You never are changing your mindset. I start insulin meeting. What's that mean? Melissa says insulin monitoring. But yeah, I mean, here we are on Monday, so I like to do these. I want to get on Sundays, but I didn't get a chance yesterday. I would love getting on Sundays because everyone's getting ready to start their Monday weight loss half-ass bullshit, That's another thing. I mean, that's the big one I say, it doesn't explain everything, but it's the outer shell of you getting success is you have to make a real commitment, and we live in a society where you're not even able to make a real commitment, really. I mean, what are you going to do? I guess you could buy some dumb shit. I mean, there's lots of stuff you could buy, I guess. But if you think about the typical diet commitment is the one of the weakest forms of dieting commitment that you can make. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, read about keto last night. I'm going to start keto tomorrow. No, you're not. I mean, how far are you going to get with that? Like just by yourself, not even prepared, no mindset work, Oh, okay. I'm from the Netherlands. I test my glucose. Yeah, it's great. I love doing stuff like that. I mean, again, I think that's an eye-opening. So I started today with a lesson like facing your weight, yeah, there it was, Don. Back to my clean eating. Love my pleasures this weekend. Back to it. Yeah, great job, Don. Same with me. I'm my first salad in a week. I didn't have a salad all last week, Wasn't a great week for me food-wise, But when I have a bad week, I'm learning from it. I know when it's happening. I know why it's happening. I know I let it go, and then I learned from it and get back on track, And I was saying that all last week because I never want you to look at me, because this is what drives me crazy about the dieting and workout people. You look at these fitness trainers and all these people, and it's like, oh, they're perfect, always selling the perfect bullshit. And it's not. I mean, you're a human being, and so you're gonna have good weeks and bad weeks, bullshit happens. Easter happened and threw me off track. Okay. Now I got enough foundation there to throw me a little bit off track, but I'm super aware of it. You know what I mean? I'm able to get myself back on track fully, or more. I'm not fully back on track even now, take me a week or two. Won't matter. Yeah. Testing your glucose is great because I think anything like that lets you see, because so much weight loss, again, this is part of that dieting mindset I was talking about, because every diet ad you've seen, right, in your life, it's always that before and after picture, right? It's always about X amount of pounds and X amount of pounds and X amount of days, right? How fast can I do it? I want to look better, never mind looking better. How about you like to live longer? Right? We live in a society. Again, I always say it's like this. If you want to know about the food industry now, you should study the cigarette industry in the 50s and 60s, right? Because people were smoking like crazy and no one even thought cigarettes were bad for them, right? You're inhaling smoke into your lungs and they didn't even think it was that unhealthy because they were trained to minimize the effects. It's the power of the mind, good and bad, right? So you're sitting here eating this bullshit food all day long. Let's talk about glucose, right? Because it's like if I set you free in the woods and I said, I'll give you $1 million, you can spike your glucose levels in the next week. I'm going to sit comfortably on that $1 million because you are not going to be able to spike your glucose levels. Spike your glucose levels unless you stumble upon a beehive. You couldn't spike your glucose levels in nature. Not even one time in a month. Nope. But here we are now in the modern world. You're spiking your glucose levels 6-7 times a day. Spiking your glucose levels, which is inflammatory and toxic for your body and the system. And then that causes a huge release of insulin. It's toxic, inflammatory for the system. Then you crash your glucose levels and feel tired out and shit and hungry. What do you do then? Spike the glucose levels, right? Then crash them down again with insulin. And you're on this this constant roller coaster ride all day. You think your body is not affecting your body at all? It is. It's affecting everything. Is how you're eating? Is it you spiking your glucose levels 4, 5, 6 times a day, every day of your life? Do you think it's going to impact how long you're alive for? Your quality of life during those years? Your stamina? Your mobility when you're 70 and 80 years old? I'm not trying to bum you out, but you know what I mean? Like we've been so conditioned to minimize the effect of all this food because there's so much money being made off you being overweight, unhealthy, and unhappy. You've got to take this on yourself. And the first thing you ought to do is realize, fuck how I look. I want to be alive. Right? You're you're like a smoker saying, I'm going to stop smoking because I don't want to smell like smoke anymore. I want my teeth to be yellow. Well, how about your lungs? How about lung cancer? You know what I mean? I just want to look better. How about the inside of your body? How about the visceral fat? How about the fact that extra weight is correlated with dying younger than you need to, having a shittier quality of life, feeling like crap about yourself? How about those reasons? And I don't want to think about them, right? I freak out. I can't think about that. I don't want to think about that. I don't think I'm overweight. I get it, but I mean, you're going to be fucking sorry. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm here for. Just check off if you don't want to hear this. I'm just in a mood, I guess, because it's like, where else are you going to hear this from? I don't know. I'm not here to make you feel bad. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the rose, It's just trying to like what's at stake here? You're going to get 80, 70, 80, 90 years old. Okay, let's start at the beginning. Framingham Heart Study, one of the longest running studies about weight and heart health and obesity and lifespans. And so what they come out with most recently is that women that are overweight live on average 3.1 years less. Women that are obese live approximately 7 years less. 3 years overweight, 7 years being obese. I've told some people and say, oh, those are shitty years. What? Do you know anyone in their 80s or 90s, not without dementia, right? And none of them want to die. None of them want to say, oh, this 7 years, fuck it, take them. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're going to get to be 70, 80, 90 years old and you're going to look back and you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass. You're going to say, why? What was I doing? It's like you can get diabetes. It's like, it's just diabetes. I'll just take some medicine. I want to lose weight. What about the injections? The injections, the ones that give you potentially thyroid tumors. That one, is that the one you're talking about? Or are you talking about the one that's got minerals and vitamins in it that boost your metabolism, which is all bullshit? I mean, it's like if you're just going to spend your life chasing shortcuts, then you get what you get. You get what you deserve. When you hear me, like if you're lost, you never listen to me, and you don't know any of this stuff, then I feel genuinely bad, But I come here to try and snap you fucking out of it, wake you up. My dad died at 54 of a heart attack. So I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm about this because to me, it's like someone whose parents died of like a heroin overdose. So they don't like heroin now. Well, I don't like all the shitty food that makes people die early and leaves kids orphans. I wasn't an orphan, my mom, but it was a fucking nightmare. It was a nightmare, And he knew he had a bad heart. It was 1984. People didn't know, as much, but he couldn't even couldn't change it, So it's like, for me, it's like, yeah, I want you to wear a bathing suit to the beach. That's fine. But I want you, more importantly, to be alive. I want you to eat so you can live longer. You can still eat the bullshit sometimes. It's just not all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you've just been so conditional. Oh, the food. I entertain myself 5 times a day, just having this shit in my mouth. I used to eat, I would have, like, bullshit cereal, and I put sugar on top of it. So I guess it wasn't the worst bullshit. It was like Rice Krispies and Cheerios. So it was healthier, but then I'd put like 3-4 teaspoons of sugar on that. Then I have like white toast with Jif peanut butter. And then that was my breakfast. Then I'd have like a donut, a muffin, or a croissant between then and lunch. Then I'd have lunch, and I'd have my bullshit with cookies at the end of it. And then I'd have my snack in the afternoon. That was usually some kind of candy bar, and a bag of chips, sodas throughout the day. Then I'd have dinner, and that was usually the healthiest meals. My mom was a solid, healthy food cook. You know what I mean? Most of the time. When it wasn't that, it was takeout, fast food, junk food, bullshit. Then I'd start my eating. I guess you call it a second dinner. I mean, I didn't call it a second dinner, but that was all snacking for 3-4 hours, until I went to bed. And that's what I did every day. It's 50 pounds heavier than I am now. Yeah, that's a Monday mood. I know I want to pick you up on a Monday, but all of a sudden I went the other way. Is alcohol bad for losing weight if I eat really clean and good and losing weight? I mean, listen, alcohol doesn't help you lose weight, but at the same time, like, I lost weight and I always drank, I liked drinking. I didn't want to give it up. So again, what I want to bring it back to is that if you can stop with the diets and just expecting someone's going to tell you, what to eat, and you take it upon yourself like an adult. I was go down this mood. I was going to say it, but it's like I'm not saying this is you specifically, but I'm saying most people are big fucking babies when it comes to their weight loss. Big fucking babies. And I don't know any other way to put it, because it's like, okay, well, I'll eat clean. I'll diet for a week, but I better lose some weight. And then they step on the scale. No, it's only a pound. It's only 2 pounds. It's been a week and I've been eating good. And, you know what I mean? It's like, if you had a kid come up to you and is like, okay, I want you to play the piano. I got you lessons. The kid's like, well, if I'm good by the end of the month, then I'll keep playing. But if I'm not good by the end of the month, I'm not going to do it. What would you say? Yeah, you know what? That's a good attitude. You're right. That's the right mindset. Let's just see what happens. No, because the kid's going to suck. Just like you. You're going to suck after a month of eating better. It's like, and again, I'm not blaming you, because it's a bullshit story the diets have sold you. This idea you're going to start on Monday and be this perfect person. But what else in life could you, like, you haven't been doing it and all of a sudden you're just going to change everything and be perfect tomorrow? Like, it's just the craziest concept that ever lived. And that's the main problem. Not you. Not that you don't have willpower. Not that you can't do it. But anyways, yeah, alcohol doesn't help. But at the same time, if you're smart and strategic and don't want to give up the alcohol, then you say, okay, how can I drink and lose weight? But yeah, you got to recognize how alcohol is bad for you. It's bad for you in a number of ways. Again, I drank alcohol and lost weight. So it's like, if you want to do it, you can do it. But it's certainly not that most helpful thing, Don says, I know what I wanted to ask. BMI is a number we should shoot for. I always have, but not sure. Yeah, I think BMI is a solid guide point for sure. I definitely think that, that doesn't mean everything in the world. You know what I mean? And if you want to be, what I've seen is, if you're, I can't remember the exact percentage, but if you're in the normal range, obviously that's good. But even if you're in the overweight range, in medium into the overweight range, depending on your lifestyle and your activity level, health-wise, that could be fine, And so again, I would like to think that your weight would be dictated, your goal would be mostly based on health and how you're feeling. And then the rest of it would be, hey, Nuka, what's up? Yeah, happy Easter. It's right. Orthodox Easter. I don't really celebrate that much anymore, but we celebrate the other Easter. I'm not so much a practicing Greek Orthodox practitioner anymore. But yeah, BMI, I would say definitely aiming for that normal range. But if you're over it again, and if it's, you can still be just as healthy as someone in the normal range, so know that health wise, and then whatever you want to be based on how you look and those factors, factor those in. But cool. All right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. I got to go. But if you are listening to this, if you have not yet, go get that hypnosis session. Click on my bio. Go get that hypnosis session. Listen to it. Once you get in there, listen to the training that follows it. 3 steps to master your weight. All right. Real important. Yes, goal has always been health, and it has me slightly overweight on BMI. That's okay. I don't think that's a problem. I would say, this is just my opinion, that BMI, I like it, but I also think for a lot of people, those are, I don't want to say aggressive goals, because I want to be a normal, and I am, but I definitely think for a lot of people, it feels hard to get in that normal range. And from what I've seen, if you're in the overweight range, normal's here, overweight's here, and obese is over here. If you're kind of middling over in the overweight, health wise, if other factors okay, you can be good. All right. Recently, I always procrastinate losing weight in a healthy way. Yeah, super. Using procrastination intentionally is a smart strategy. So that's great. Good job, Nuka. All right, everyone, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great day, and we will see you soon. Remember, you can listen to my podcast. Just program yourself then on all the platforms. My YouTube is Jim Katsoulis, where there's a lot of good stuff. And yeah, go click on that link and get the hypnosis session. All right, everyone, have a super day. Bye.